Now I'm going to be moving on to my personal team of the season, but I've made a little caveat here that I could only pick one player from each club. So none of this, 4 or 5 players from Liverpool, 3 players from Arsenal, 3 players from Forest. Try to make it more difficult to, get not a fair list, but make it different, because this was quite challenging, I think, especially in defense. Salah, some players pick themselves. So to not be able to pick multiple Liverpool, Arsenal, maybe Chelsea, Newcastle, Forest players has made this a lot more difficult. So I'm going to start from goal. I've just gone standard 4-3-3 like everyone does. 3 midfielders, 3 attackers, 4 at the back. First up, I've got Sals from Nottingham Forest. I think up until last week or so, he had the most clean sheets in the league, and I think he's been great this season. Been a massive part of Forest's Champions League push, and could have gone for Milinkovic at centre-back, could have gone for Gibbs-White or Chris Wood, but to be honest, I thought Sals, compared to the other goalkeepers, gave me better options than, I didn't want to go Raya, didn't want to go Alisson, didn't really want to go Edison or anything like that, or maybe Henderson from Palace, because there were other players that I needed from this team. So yeah, Sals in goal, great season. Hopefully Forest qualify for the Champions League. At right back, I've gone for Munoz from Palace, and he's been a great right back this season. I think personally a massive surprise. One of those I put in my fantasy league team because he's relatively well priced. And then seeing the amount of goal contributions he got, and then also watching him in game, he has been sensational. I think FA Cup final again, massive performance. And I think he's been one of Palace's standout players. You can say Eze, I know Mateta, Henderson in goal, but for me personally, Munoz has been sensational at right back. And this season, looking at it, I think Trent, he has had too many injury problems. He's missed too many games. And he's kind of been a bit more conservative this season. So I wouldn't really have gone for Trent. Maybe you could say like Timber, but I think also like there's been parts of the season where he has been good, but not. I just think personally Munoz, again, Arsenal factor, I want to pick a different Arsenal player. So Munoz for me at right back. Centre backs, I'll start with the craziest pick of the team, just because I ran out of clubs and I needed to figure something out. But centre back, I went for Huijsen from Bournemouth. I think I mentioned earlier, sensational season, 15 or so million from Juventus. Before the season's even done, he's been sold for 50 to Real Madrid. And 20 years old, international, I think he's been one of the standouts of the centre-backs this season. Now you can say Van Dijk, you can say Gabriel, Saliba, but outside those traditional top 5-6 clubs, Huijsen has been sensational, and I think he's been one of the best centre-backs this season. And considering his age, first season in the Premier League, this guy is going to be world-class, and I think that's why Real Madrid have paid as much for him. Could have gone Kirkes from Bournemouth, could have gone maybe Semenyo, but I just thought Huijsen, centre-back, was a serious issue, as we're about to come to now. So second centre-back, I've gone for James Tarkowski from Everton. And I'm going to be honest, they were just very, very little options, because I've gone for other players from Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Forest, etc. So ruled out a lot of candidates for all the other teams I've gone for. So I've gone for James Tarkowski. I think he's been a really reliable player for Everton this season. I know they also have Branthwaite, but super old school. It's just he's one of those hard as nails players, and I think he did piss me off a lot throughout the season. I mean, that equaliser at Goodison Park was heartbreaking, and at the time we thought it could have cost Liverpool the title. But in hindsight, I don't really care as much anymore, so I'll say it's a great goal. That tackle on McAllister that should have been a red. These are moments that I remember, but I'll give him it because I'm going to be honest, I couldn't really pick anyone else, and I thought going through all the centre backs, Tarkowski's been solid. So I think since Moyes took over, he has been really reliable. So I'll give Tarkowski the second centre back slot. So that picks Everton. So far I've picked Palace, Everton, Bournemouth, and Forest. At left back, I've gone Anthony Robinson from Fulham, and originally I was going to go for Kirkes, but going back to the point of centre backs being a serious issue in this challenge. So I picked Robinson, get Fulham out the way, but also let's be real, Robinson had a great season. I'm pretty sure he got one of the most assists in the Premier League this season, could be second or third on the list behind Salah. Um, Great season. You know, Fulham have also been a great side in the mid-table this season. They've really added an extra challenge to the teams above them fighting for Europe and the title. So Robinson at left back. Going into midfield, I think relatively standard picks. Caicedo from Chelsea really stepped up the season. I think he is completely acclimatized now to playing there. I think last season he showed glimpses, but there was a lot of chemistry that had to be built between, you know, kind of the three big money signings that were just kind of forced together into midfield. Lavia missed a lot of last season too, so that original midfield idea didn't really materialize, and there was a lot of work that needed to be done with getting the best out of Enzo and Caicedo, and I think Caicedo has risen to the top. I think he really has been one of the best midfielders in the Premier League this season. With him, I've gone for Bruno from Man United, and I don't think there's an argument here. As much as United have been terrible, Bruno has been the only positive really from the season. Goals, assists, clutch moments, the amount of winners he's gotten or set up. Really, it's almost been a one-man show. So Bruno has to go in the team this season for me. Then final midfielder, Declan Rice from Arsenal. Another player that's just consistently been up there. I don't think he's had too many poor performances this season. I know there are times you could say he should add more goals, but I think, you know, excluding his Champions League free kicks, I think picking a Premier League team this season, you need to focus on the Premier League. I think he's been a really consistent and reliable player for Arsenal this season. He's been probably their best midfielder in every single game this season, and he has scored some very important goals. So, yeah, Declan Rice to complete the midfield. And then front three for me, obviously Mo Salah. No denying that he has to be there. You know, record-breaking Premier League season. Liverpool win the title. Will probably win Player of the Year. I think it's his third Player of the Year or fourth Player of the Year or something crazy like that. Salah has to be there. I don't think I need to get too much into it. You know, signed a new contract. Was in the last year of his Liverpool contract and still performed like this. A lot of players mentally drop off. But yeah, Mo Salah right wing. Striker, Isak, again, I don't think there's much of an argument. Pretty sure Haaland got the same amount of goals, if not around there. And I think we can say, though, that Haaland's performances this season haven't been to the same standard as Isak. I think Isak's probably been the best striker in the Premier League this season, or the most lethal or threatening. You know, you're playing against Newcastle, you're worried about Isak's. You know, some of his performances have been crazy. He's just such a threat, getting in behind, holding the ball up, his link-up play. Isak is a great striker, and a lot of people probably want him to leave Newcastle, but I think if they qualify for the Champions League, he's staying. Left wing was a bit more difficult because at this point, I'd used up half of the clubs in the Premier League. I mean, I couldn't pick from Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, United, Palace, Forest, any of those teams. I couldn't really. There were very, very limited options. So I've swapped. I've been a bit cheeky. I've put Bryan Mbeumo on the left wing. I think he's had his best season in the Premier League. I think he got, 18 goals or something crazy like that. Probably will move on from Brentford at the end of the season, but I think a great campaign individually. His link up with Versa this season has been great. And yeah, Mbeumo is perfect. I think he's 25, 26. He'll probably leave Brentford this season, and I can see him, being a key player for any of the top sides in the Premier League. Finally, the manager. And I've stuck to the rule for the manager. So I couldn't pick Arne Slot. I couldn't pick Nuno. I couldn't pick Iriola. So I've gone with Vitor Pereira from Wolves. And a lot of people say that's super random. But I think if you look from 10 down, there aren't many options. But I think when he took over from Wolves, they were terrible. They only had 9 points from, I think, the first 16 or 17 games. He took over around Christmas. And he's got 32 points from the next 22 games, which was a lot better, and they're comfortably in mid-table now. They were in the relegation zone for quite a while, and he got them out, and now they're comfortably safe. So I think from all the teams I left, probably the standout. Maybe people will say David Moyes for similar reasons, but again, I had to pick James Tarkowski. But yeah, that's my team of the season. Let me know who I missed out on. Let me know who you'd pick. If I've made some terrible decisions, I'd love to know and tell me why, because I think there's not much room to maneuver here. Thank you so much for watching, guys. It's been a great season. Liverpool champions, Nottingham Forest pushing for the Champions League, Ipswich, Leicester, and Southampton straight back down. So I think we're excited for 25-26. We'll be doing videos throughout the off-season on the Club World Cup. We'll do the Champions League final, and then we'll do some videos on transfer updates. So stay tuned, like, subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for your support throughout the season. Cheers.